Hello. My name is Religious Fiction. This is my first video on YouTube. I am using extranormal.com because I don't yet have access to digital video or editing software. I watched a video from Chucky Jesus 666 about his early years of atheism, and I wanted to add my voice to the YouTube community. Atheist is a word that has negative connotations, but it is no more descriptive than any other word. The word atheist doesn't automatically imply anger, immorality, unkindness, arrogance, or most of the other assumptions people make when they hear the word. It's simply one answer to one question. Do you believe in a theistic God? The answer, for me, is no. I guess I'm a little on the defensive, because I hear how the word atheist is bandied about like a curse word, like a horrible epithet. I want to help believers understand where atheists like myself are coming from, and I want to help people on the fence between belief and non-belief. If you question your beliefs or the beliefs of those around you, know that you are not alone, and there is a community awaiting you if you discover you can't honestly subscribe to certain beliefs. My journey out of religious belief is really the story of my life up to this point, and that's hard to summarize or to make into an interesting film, but I will try. I grew up moderately Christian in a primarily Christian area of Texas, and I have become a non-Christian while living in a fundamentalist Christian area of Texas. When I was a child, my family had a very positive home church experience. My sister and I sang in the choir, and had lots of playtime. My mom and dad received valuable counseling there. There was never any condemnation. When we moved to a more affluent area, the church of the same denomination was much larger and very different. My family didn't attend church much. As I got older, I don't remember talking about religion much with my mom and dad. We would hear about politics or morality from them, but not much about the tenets of Christianity. My sister and I tried to embrace the common sense stuff, like you are valuable, and do what's right. Of course, right meant what mom and dad wanted, and we parted ways on issues such as sexuality, and who I should date. One boyfriend in particular was a terrible influence on me. He treated me very badly, but he was the first person I knew who read the Bible. He could back up all of his behavior with Bible verses, and I thought he must know the Christian religion very well. I slowly adopted the message of his church's culture. That females are worth less than males. That stayed with me as I went to college. Then one of my friends was killed in a car accident. I thought that God wouldn't allow something so terrible to happen to someone who was such a good person. I distinctly remember only months later praying. I looked up at the sky, and said out loud, "Why am I praying to something that doesn't exist?" I stopped praying. That was the first semester of my first year of college. My second semester, I took a class on early Greek and Christian philosophy, and found myself led back to the idea of a great being, a creator, a unifying force. After college, I met up with old friends who were becoming more biblical in their beliefs. I started reading the Bible and praying more. I attended church several times a week, and became nearly evangelical, though always liberal. I met the man I later married during this phase of my life, and we had a very religious marriage ceremony. We felt God had called us together. We also felt God was leading us to a small town. We moved, and were not prepared for the culture shock. We saw fundamentalist Christianity combined with little education, and the results were disastrous. Many people were judgmental, while also being terribly frightened of hell. People who were different were ostracized. Education was scorned, because it often led people away from fundamentalist Christianity. Religion perpetuated cycles of poverty and ignorance. I felt alone. My husband and I decided to help the kids of the community, so we became youth directors. We wanted the kids to see outside of their mental cages. I was dedicated to my church job. But the more I studied Christianity, the Bible, and fundamentalism, and the more I compared key doctrines to the realities of life, the more I questioned how helpful doctrines really were. The fewer doctrinal stances I took for granted, the more personal my religious journey became. Eventually, I discovered that I couldn't support most of what Christianity had become since the time of Christ. I tried to get back to the basics of Christianity, back to what Jesus actually said and did, but I found that the way was obscured. Real life encroached upon my Pollyanna view of the world. Remember the South Asian tsunamis? Did God really create all things? And when my cat lay dying in my arms, I realized that no prayer would bring him back. Finally, when I admitted the ineffectiveness of prayer, I had crossed a line. My beliefs were a house of cards that came crashing down. I reeled. Where could I go? I no longer believed in any definition of God, and I felt that most religious practice was a waste of time. At first, it was a difficult transition. But since my deconversion, I have become a stronger, happier, more connected person. Life makes more sense. I hope to help others make the same transition successfully and peacefully. I've made new sincere friends, and strengthened old true friendships, including my friendship with my husband. We have always been able to talk about deep matters, and as we opened up to each other about our questions, we found we were on the same deconversion path together. I hope I have helped you understand more where one atheist is coming from, and how she reached the end of her faith, and started a new, more authentic, and happier life. Thanks for listening.